This is Lewis Hart for the Ring Magazine. Delighted today for the first time to be joined with Steve Bunce. It's a pleasure to be joined with you. How's things? How are you?
Well, you know what, when you're on a Saturday night, the first big Saturday night of the year, and you get a world title win, brilliant fashion, then you get a brilliant unbeaten British boxer taking care of a guy that should have given him 8 or 9 hard rounds. It's a good night. It's cold outside, boxing's back, and near enough every Saturday between now and April's full. It's never ever been like that. I've never looked at a diary, and I've compared diaries for the last 5 or 6 years. We've never had so many Saturday nights in January, February, March and April. Yeah. What a time to be a boxing fan. What a time to be involved with a business.
Yeah. I was going to say that. I think my next weekend off's like the 21st, 22nd of March, man, as you say, so really exciting. But yeah, good kick start today. Dalton Smith with a first round knockout of Walid Ouizza. Yeah, you know, made good work of an opponent that he should do, but what did you make of that performance or however long it lasted?
Listen, I fancied winning 5 or 6 or 7 rounds, and I spoke to Dalton afterwards in the ring, and that's what Dalton fancied. He fancied wear him down, he fancied get a little bit closer, let his hands go, but he hurt him with that first jab, and Dalton's got a really horrible jab. He sort of turns it, he locks it, and he hurt the guy with the very first punch he threw, but then he was calm, and he then slowly did break him down, taking another 2 minutes and 59 seconds. And it's very easy to say now, oh, it was a mismatch, oh, it was an easy win. I did not expect that to be 1 round. Neither did Dalton and neither did Grant. I expected 5 or 6 rounds. And I think Ouizza's people probably expected 5 or 6 rounds or a bit longer. That was a good finish there. Okay, listen, he's not one of the top 10 light welterweights in the world, but he got him out of there and he didn't hurry any of his work. And sometimes that's more important. It's the nature of the finish and not the raw stats attached to the finish. So on paper, it looks like 1 knockdown and stopped on the bell basically in the first round. What that doesn't tell you is how cool he was, how balanced he was, how he picked his shots. And at one point, he went for a little walk, and Grant in his corner loved it. Because if you're going for a little walk, you're having a little think. And I like that. It was, bizarrely, it was really stylish, even though it was only a round.
Yeah. You've seen so much boxing, Steve, and seen so many incredible fights over the years. Where does that comeback from Conor Walker rank against Harry Scarff?
It's right up there. One judge hadn't given him a round. The other 2 judges did give Conor Walker 1 round. I thought there were moments there when Harry Scarff looked comfortable under pressure. And if you look comfortable under Conor Walker's pressure, then you're in a good position. But did he start to fade perhaps a little bit in the 9th? Maybe he did. And you can't rule out Conor Walker. As he says, I'm a dog. But, you know, if he doesn't land that punch, he maybe loses that round, then the last 2, and it's or the last one, and it's all over. Any fighter that wins in the last 2 rounds, 11 and 12 or 14 and 15 in the old days, who's trailing by even 4 points, it's unbelievable. When you've lost every round and you stop a man, that's incredible stuff.
Yeah. Steve, before I do let you go,
no problem.
Outside of the wider topics of boxing, do have to ask you about Conor Benn against Chris Eubank Jr. Middleweight fight, massive on April 26th. Yeah, it's a few months away, but what are you thinking now it's announced and we're going to get the big build-up?
I'm thinking the same thing I was thinking when it was announced in the summer of 2022. I'm a big, listen, even though I've been around a long time, people imagine I'm some kind of ridiculous purist. I'm not a ridiculous purist. I understand people jumping across weights. I understand odd fights. I'm not saying I'm a massive believer in KSI against Tommy Fury, because that's just a little bit of circus. But I don't mind a little bit of trickery. I don't mind a few odd shenanigans to make a fight happen. I didn't mind the fact that Eubank had to rehydrate in the first fight, because at that point, Conor was on a great run, topping bills. So I was a big fan of this fight from scratch. And I'm still a big fan of this fight now that Conor can apply for and get a British Boxing Board of Control licence. Eubank's done what he's had to do. He's had a mixed time since then. Beats Liam Smith, gets stopped and dropped by Liam Smith. I'm a massive fan of this fight, and I've been a massive fan of this fight. And remember, I was a massive fan of the first 2 fights between their dads in November and October. I was there for both of those fights, so they were great events. So will this be a great event?
Yeah, I was going to say that. For yourself, when you remember the first fight, for and I think I compare myself, I wasn't even born then. So how weird does it feel, I guess, when you've seen the dads fight and then you've seen the 2 sons fight on a massive world stage, like never really been done before? Like, how do you even sort of put that into words?
I don't think we have a parallel for it. You know, we've got sons that fight, and we've got, you know, rivalries that are long-standing rivalries. But this is a unique situation, a unique and ridiculous and unbelievable rivalry. And I was very much around for both of those fights. I was working for newspapers only at that time. And both of those fights, you're covering them all week long. You're embedded basically. You're around it. You're living it. You're in Birmingham for the entire duration of that early November fight in 1990. Then you're up in Manchester for the entire 7 days. In fact, I went up to Manchester the Saturday before the fight and did the entire time in Manchester. Those are ridiculous days and nights, and it's really hard for people that weren't around then to understand something that was on the back page of every sports paper, front page on preview day. And we were writing back then, I mean, I don't want to sound like a very old man, but we were writing 1,200, 1,400 words a day. I don't think there's been 1,200 words in a national newspaper for about 15 years. That was daily. Yeah. That was a ridiculous daily run of stuff. And the animosity between the fathers was absolutely ridiculous. And these two, well, they had a bit of it in 22, but now it's been ratcheted up several notches. And I don't like to say this, but I'm really looking forward to the conferences, because everyone's going to have a field day, especially when the dads come out. And it's just going to be an absolute meltdown of lunacy. And the fight itself is still a very interesting fight. Okay, it's not a pure fight, who cares? But it's a great fun fight. Yeah, nicely put. Steve, a pleasure to speak to you, mate. Always a massive fan of your work, so really do appreciate you taking time to speak. No problem at all. Thank you.